I would say that our next panel is India on the road to becoming the gaming superpower. Today we are talking about gaming so much that we are really curious to know more and more and more about gaming aspects and about the future growth of gaming industry along with the current state as well. Well, I would tell you that the 201 billion gaming industry is twice the size of the film industry, or let's say the Bollywood, we can say. In fact, it is larger than the movie and music industries when combined together, and it is only growing. That's interesting. So it is always important to talk about the growth aspects of this industry. So the questions arises that the investments, are they in sync with the size of our country? One. Number two is, with what pace Indian gaming community is growing? Next one is how technology in the form of handset and emerging technologies like we can say 5G and metaverse that we talk about very much, AI, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, etc. are shaping the industry. That's a quite nice question, I believe, that comes to our mind. In comparison to the world, where we are standing, means where our country is standing, if we talk about the future of gaming, or we can say where India is standing on the road to becoming the gaming superpower. So to throw light on this or to discuss about all this, we have our esteemed panelist and a session chair as well. Thank you so much all of you for coming inside before our panel started. Well, I would like to invite from K18 Gaming, Mr. Ketan Patel, who is a gamer himself. Mr. Ketan, please come on the stage with a huge round of applause, of course. Okay, you can take your chair. We have another gamer in the line. He is Mr. Lokmanyu Chaturvedi. He is a FIFA pro athlete. Please welcome Mr. Lokmanyu. We have Mr. Lokesh Suji, Director ESFI. Please welcome Mr. Lokesh. Only I am there to give the applauses. May I request everyone to kindly, yes, thank you so much, thank you. We feel really glad when you give applauses because I always say it's a give and take process. Whenever there's your turn of coming on the stage, people will applause for you. Well, we have Mr. Pankaj Uniyal. May I request Mr. Pankaj to come on the stage? He is Sales Vice President, Social Peta, one of our partners as well. Well, thank you. We have Mr. Pankit Chapla, who is the Chief Technology Officer, Yudiz Solution. Please welcome Mr. Pankit. Along with them, we have Ms. Udita Dutta, who is the Founder Director at Artsmith Concepts and Visions. Please welcome ma'am. She is here to moderate the session. वैसे तो we would like to request you to come in the center, as the session chair should be in the center. So may I request you kindly to shuffle? Okay, it's fine. Okay. Done.
Now it's been a long day, so we will not make it very boring. There's been too much of gaming being talked about. Because we have two athletes with us, before we get into anything else, we wanted to take a first-hand experience of what gaming means and when does a gamer stop and an esports athlete start. Can we have both Ketan and Lokmanyu talk about it?
I think about esports athlete, he can talk about better. But as a casual gamer, it never started. It was always there, I feel, because हम सब लोगों के अंदर एक gamer है, casual gamer. But as a streamer, हम लोग वो चीज़ social media पे डालते हैं, and the audience who watches us, they're also one of them, and we are also one of them. So I feel like every one of us who is in the room has कभी ना कभी तो खेला ही होगा game, right? So that's what I think casual game means, and esports athlete जो होता है वो उसको एक next level पे लेके जाता है जहाँ पे कुछ competitors खेलते हैं एक tournament में, they fight for a prize pool, and this can go up to, like, I can talk about this for whole day esports topic के ऊपर, but I think he can talk about that better if we talk about athletes only.
Hi everyone. So, ma'am said that we have spoken a lot about gaming, but now when it comes to esports, and like Ketan mentioned, that gaming is huge, and esports is like sort of segmented out of it. And when you play as a competitive player, like I personally, I think it's all about at the end of the day representing your country at whatever stage that you're playing. For me, when I play FIFA and I've represented my country in Denmark, I was the coach of the national team. The feeling that you get because you started playing with your friends casually. Everyone, I don't know, at some point of time must have played any game, probably a racing game or a football game or a cricket game together. But when you take that to a stage where people are watching, like we are here today, I think that's what matters because you get a platform to showcase your talent, and all these young players that are coming up, they sort of suddenly get the spotlight because they've only played games in a room. And they sort of come out and play on the big stage, and they represent themselves, their organizations, their countries. So I think that's what gives, and I'm not even going to talk about the prize money, as we all know. I'm not going to go into the facts. Everything is available on the internet. I just want to talk about the feeling and the platform that players get. It's a pretty proud feeling, I must say, especially when you represent your country at the biggest stage.
I mean, when you really want to become a superpower, there are a couple of things that is needed, and of course tech is one of them. So is the passion for the sport. Gaming still is gaming, and that small crossover from gaming to esports is still a journey that we are making. The day we make, I guess we will become that real superpower. On that note, I will bring in Lokesh, because just to tell you guys, we just recently won a bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games. So it was Lokesh, ESFI, who had taken that team, and those guys have really made us proud at the podium in Birmingham. It wasn't easy because the team didn't have money. There was a lot of struggle. And India still doesn't recognize esports as part of sports. So that's another space that we need to work on if we really want to become a superpower. It's just not about the money or the brand support. Lokesh, what do you really think is needed? I mean, if we look at globally, I mean, our population, the numbers that we project, we have about 16% of the downloads globally is from India. These numbers are amazing. Then what are the challenges to go to that next level of becoming a superpower? What are those key things that we really need to look at?
Thank you, Udita. Namaste, everybody. Very right. So, India में potential की कमी नहीं है, right? So, we are talking about around 425 million online gamers. So, that's not a small number. So, typically, the way we look at, the esports or, India becoming the superpower, there are two big things if we can overcome. Now, one is, of course, the support from the government in the terms of recognizing esports as a sport. Thankfully, we, off late, whatever support we have got from the government has been very encouraging. This was the first time wherein the medal winners for Commonwealth Esports Championship, they were recognized by the Indian Olympic Association. They were recognized at the same level as our traditional sports player, whether that was weightlifting, boxing, racing, athletics, and so on. Now, I think the time is good because Modi ji also said that, India has got that potential of becoming the gaming superpower. So the next step which we are expecting from Mr. Modi and his government is to recognize esports as a sport. Why? That thing is something which is happening at the government level or at the policy level. I think the second most important thing which we want, and that's what our athletes also want, is that more and more brands should come forward and start embracing it. That's very important. So we, a couple of minutes back, we were having this discussion wherein obviously the brand perspective was that if we engage into esports, it's just like drop in the ocean. But the way we look at it is कि boom boom से ही सागर बनता है. So now as a brand managers or the CMOs or the companies, directors, founders, whatever, so even if you start, let's say, spending or allocating even 1% of your budget. Now, when I talk about a brand like Pepsi, Pepsi would have what, 500 crores or maybe much more than kind of a marketing budget. So out of that, even if you spend, let's say, 1%, that will do wonders for our community. So that is typically the kind of support which we want. In the terms of talent, we don't have dearth of the talent. We got Lokmanyu, we got Ketan, we got so many other talented players. But what they want is, in the terms of the support, in the terms of financials also, so that this money can effectively be used to upskill these guys. Today, whatever we do, we still it was a very proud moment, of course, not only Commonwealth Esports, but in Asian Games 2018, wherein Esports was included as a demonstration title, our athlete Teeth Mehta won the bronze for us. And Esports now has become a medal sport in Asian Games 2022. Unfortunately, these got postponed. So we need that kind of thing. The biggest bottleneck which we see into our growth or India becoming the superpower for esports is the parental approval. That is where typically, obviously these guys, when you look at their peers, they are preparing for their IITs or medical exams and other thing. Wherein Lokmanyu is fighting or Ketan is fighting with his parents, no, I don't want to become an engineer or a doctor or let's say pick up a job at Google and so forth, but I want to follow my passion, and that is where I'm able to make that kind of a money. So, so it's a very crucial stage for our athletes, and that is where typically we want the support from, of course, the government and the brands to come forward and start engaging with it. Don't just look at esports is not an activation tool. Please don't look at, if you're launching a product, let's do a esport championship, then the story gets over. Right, so you have to start spending money. Obviously, Archana in the previous panel said that beyond, let's say, putting ads in a game, what else can we do? So obviously, our suggestion to people like Archana is that why don't, let's say, with the federation, we set up the training camps for our athletes. Let's bring in coaches from the places like Korea, which is, the Makkah Medina for esports. Let's bring those coaches and train our athletes so that tomorrow these guys also are well equipped and they go out and win Asian Games and medals for the country. So these are a couple of things. And before I end, so I would want to take, a couple of minutes to tell you guys, playing Teen Patti, Rummy, poker or fantasy or playing casually video games, Fruit Ninja, Ludo is not esports. There are only 5 genres of video games which fall under this category. So don't get confused. If somebody comes up and says, I'm doing Fruit Ninja Championship, that's esports, or I'm doing fantasy, that is esports. That is not esports.
Well, I don't know how, do you guys, all of you know the differences, right? Do we run you through that? Esports and gaming. So, see, of course, passion is one side, but engagement is key to both esports and gaming. And technology is a big space to that. So, Pankit, can you talk us through the whole concept of Web3, which is a big thing globally, but India is still getting into that space?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. So actually I want to talk more about the technologies, right? So if we check the facts and figures, right? So around 420 million are the current active player in the India right now. Among almost around 70% of users are young generation who will adopt the technology very easily, right? So actually we start our journey of gaming, so which will start with the blocky graphics, which we played years ago, right? And then after those graphics, we turned into the 3D, 2D, and then after a technology like AR and VR is coming, right? So now come to your point, technology is evolving day by day, right? So we need to work with the technology. So NFT, blockchain, metaverse, these are the booming technology in the current market era. So that will give you a more power to any gaming. So for an example, if you are going to develop any kind of a game, where we require more secure, more power, where user feel very secure to play. Even the concept of play and earn, which will start with the NFT and blockchain. So NFT is purely non-fungible token, where user can upgrade their skill set, where user can earn some reward. Obviously, while we are develop any kind of product, which will purely based on hook model, right? So hook model will always tell us like if we want to engage our user, we need to give some rewards. And if we are giving some rewards, then we require some secure panel as well. So while we go for a security, then definitely NFT and blockchain is the right choice for the current gaming era. So that's the technical aspects where people are currently uses the play and earn game concepts as a player, as a developer, or as a marketer. So yes, that is the technical aspect as from my point of view.
Pankaj, as a marketer, engagement, now you have various options. NFT is a huge space. Mobile companies are now more than video or audio, they're more focused on getting is the mobile gaming friendly. How do you see the entire engagement space when it comes to mobile market? Because India has the highest mobile penetration, and that's why I think gaming compared to any other country, we are the biggest, and the opportunities in superpowerdom. All this is because it's all about that handset and the population we have.
Yeah, this is a very genuine question because we are the second most populated country in the world, and we have everything available to be a superpower. Like after China, we are the second most users of the mobile gaming. And if you see the mobile companies, they are launching their mobile phones, and they are making the strategy that they can have mobile phones. Those are compatible for the gaming people. They don't just focus on the camera or the voice quality. That is secondary thing. Now they are just focusing if it is capable or good enough for a mobile user or a mobile gamer. Because I think, as we said, like 90% of the Indian gamers are using the mobiles, and we don't have the console or the PC version users in India. They are, and they have a big market in US, but not in India. So in India, the companies are using also algorithms to see what kind of audience they have, what kind of audience are downloading their games from the iOS and the Android phone. And also, as a social Peta, as a brand, what we have noticed, which is very good fact, that not only youngsters or not only people who are like 18 or 20, but the majority of the people who are using the online games are between age of 31 to 41. The reason is not only that they need to spend some good time, they probably cannot have like good friends after the office, or probably in a social circle. Also, they have good spending capacity, because after 30, we can expect a person can spend good amount if they have to on some mobile games. So these are the facts that companies are considering using algorithms, that what kind of audience they can target, what kind of actual audience they have to target. We have fellow gamers. If you see, like if you have some study on their followers, it's not just the kids or the youngsters they are following them. There are people who are like 40 plus as well, and they are so much interested in the gaming or the events. The reason is that time has changed, like especially post-pandemic, the habits have been changed. I mean, there are people who are not even spending 1 hour a week on the television. They are probably on the OTT platforms, which is correct, or they are spending time on the casual games, the hyper casual games, where they don't have to actually spend too much time. They are traveling in metro. There are a lot of population who is traveling in metro or public transport. They take 1 hour to reach office, and they are just downloading some games, and they are spending 1 hour to commute to the office. So we have users who are online and using those games 2 hours every day, 5 days a week. So we can spend some more time in making those algorithms more productive and more actual, and the brands are actually interested in those kind of aspects, wherein we can actually find who can spend how much on any app, and we can spend and we can promote our brand on those streamers, on the gamers, or the online games.
No, you talked about 35. This is the beauty of this sport, right? It's gender agnostic, it's age agnostic, it is location agnostic, and that's why they say that gaming and esports is probably going to beat any kind of form of entertainment, because it just doesn't. It's the most modern form of engagement that is there. But in India, it all started with the COVID. This question is both to you, Ketan and Lokmanyu, because we've kept hearing this, that COVID hua and then gaming boom started. But you guys were in the center of it, right? Can you run us through, can you tell the audience, how was it for you guys? I mean, you guys were doing LAN events, but suddenly everything was confined to the mobile or the console. How was it for you guys? If you can just run us through some experiences, that how did you guys go through that entire segment?
See, COVID obviously बहुत effect करा है. If we talk about esports, I was casting for PUBG Mobile. एक event चल रहा था. Indian teams थी वहाँ पे 24. हम लोग एटलीस्ट वहाँ पे एक महीना रह के कास्ट करने वाले और खेलने वाले थे सारे प्लेयर्स, बट इवेंचुअली पेंडेमिक हुआ, 14 मार्च को कॉल ऑफ हो गया सब कुछ, एंड सर्टेनली वी सॉ अ ह्यूज इंक्रीज इन नंबर्स आफ्टर दैट. हम लोगों को लगा कि यार लैंड चला गया. अब वही बात है कि अब क्रिकेट के टाइम पे भी जब नहीं हो रहे थे मैचेस, तब ऑडियंस इतना ज़्यादा इंटरेक्ट या बातें नहीं कर रही थी, और सब लोगों को यही लगा कि क्या क्या होगा एक्चुअली जब वापस आएगा. एंड हम लोगों के साथ भी सेम चीज़ हुई जब रिटर्न आया, जब लैंड हुआ. दिल्ली में ही हुआ था वो, बट ऑडियंस नहीं थी वहाँ पे बिकॉज ऑफ सर्टेन रूल्स की ऑडियंस नहीं बुला सकते. अगेन कोविड वाली सिचुएशन. बट ऐसे नहीं है कि कोविड के पहले नहीं हो रहा था. पबजी मोबाइल के नंबर्स जो थे दे वर ऑलरेडी बूमिंग. हम लोग 2 लाख 3 लाख प्लस कॉन्करेंट व्यूअर्स क्लिक कर रहे थे. एंड फ्री फायर जैसी गेम वो भी बहुत डिफरेंट सेक्टर से बूम कर रही थी. बट इवेंचुअली हम लोग अगर बात करते हैं ग्रोइंग ऑडियंस वगैरह की, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट जनरली ऑडियंस फॉर ई स्पोर्ट्स, 16 to 18 ऑडियंस होती है जहाँ से शुरू होता है एक ई स्पोर्ट्स प्लेयर का करियर. एंड इफ यू टॉक अबाउट जैसे आपने बोला 40th या 45th तक, सो ई स्पोर्ट्स प्लेयर की एक एज होती है, जैसे ही विल टॉक अबाउट इट, ही कैन टॉक अबाउट इट बेटर, क्योंकि 26 तक आते आते आपके रिफ्लेक्सेस, आपकी मेंटली जितने आप स्ट्रांग रहते हो एट द एज ऑफ 16 उतना आप 26 में नहीं रह सकते. सो आफ्टर दैट बहुत सारे और करियर अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं ई स्पोर्ट्स में. लाइक यू कैन बी अ मैनेजर, यू कैन बी अ कोच, यू कैन बी स्टार्ट्समैन फॉर एनी टीम. आप एक ओनर बन सकते हो टीम में, क्योंकि अभी भी बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, बहुत सारे ऐसे ओनर्स हैं जो अभी अभी जस्ट एंड दे आर डूइंग गुड इन दिस इंडस्ट्री. एंड हम लोगों को वही है, जैसा आपने बोला, सपोर्ट चाहिए फाइनेंशियली भी, एंड ऑडियंस के लिए हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं मेजॉरिटी, बिकॉज ऑडियंस इज समवन हु कैन मेक ई स्पोर्ट्स ग्रो इन कंट्री. एंड अभी आज की डेट में हम लोग यही बोलते हैं कि जेनजी के पास फोन है, सब कुछ. हम लोगों ने नहीं देखा. अगर हम लोग हमारे 13-14 एज की बात करें तो हम लोगों ने ई स्पोर्ट्स शायद नाम भी नहीं सुना होगा. बट इवेंचुअली आज की डेट में हर एक बढ़ता बच्चा, सबको पता है ई स्पोर्ट्स क्या है, कौन स्काउट है, कौन मॉडल है, कौन जॉनथन है. सो इवेंचुअली दैट इज समथिंग, द ई स्पोर्ट्स हैज इम्पैक्ट ऑन अवर यंगर जनरेशन, एंड होपफुली वो चीज़ आगे बढ़ेगी इन अ गुड वे, जिस तरीके से अभी जा भी रही है. एंड I think he can talk more about athlete stuff, क्योंकि 16 to 20 से I think that is the crisp time जब आप start करते हो and you can show your best career में, अगर आप e-sports की बात करें तो.
So like
Lokmanyu, just one more thing that I wanted to add to what he said. Are we late starters in esports? Because जितने sports leagues हैं, सबका अभी जाके gaming का चालू करने का सोच रहे हैं. And ISL has just started. IPL का है बट उतना हार्डकोर नहीं है. So are we late starters in that space?
Is that question for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So to answer your question first, I think for someone like me, like I'm 26, when I started dreaming of becoming a FIFA esports athlete, nothing was there. India was not even eligible by the publishers themselves until 2 years ago. And by that time I was already 24. And जैसे कहते हैं ना, that life hits you, and sometimes when you're not already earning big bucks at that stage from the esports, you have to be very smart about it. So people of my age and other competitive players who are in this early 20s, mid 20s bracket, they have not had the opportunity that these 16 to 18-year-old people are getting right now. And that, like, to answer you, EISL has come up, IPL is also coming in. So all these leagues that are coming up, they are giving a platform to younger players because they have very less worries apart from the life that we had in their stage, because we had to prepare for college, for our jobs, because nobody gave us a platform. But now these guys don't have to worry about that. They have professional contracts, they have federations backing them up, they have brands coming to them. So they can just be like, I want to leave college, I want to leave my job, I don't have to worry because this will be my work. So that is something that these organizers are given the platform. And to add to what Ketan said, I think content is key, and people, audiences, like Ketan is about 4 lakh followers on Instagram, and his audience is 1.2, 1.3 billion plus. So you can see like the opportunities he was talking about. You have to pull in the audience towards yourself. And particularly about athletes, you can choose to be whatever you want to be. You can be a great player, you can work as a coach, you can move into content creation, be an organization owner in the future also. So there are so many aspects within esports that you can choose to either multitask or you can actually pick one thing and keep growing in that space.
So this is for you. So basically there are at least more than 1,500 game developing companies, about 400 plus companies who are into esports. How do you think these opportunities can be encashed to go deep rooted and attract the athletes? Because end of the day you need the athletes, you need them to be associated, because otherwise it will still be gaming and esports will still be part of it and not segregated as a separate sector.
So yes, obviously we need to encourage players as well. So while we are introducing any kind of esports game or even any kind of a game where we require some players, so we need to encourage them with the technology as well. Like we need to guide them like how you are going to play those games and how you are going to adopt the new technologies, right? So likewise, as Ketan has also mentioned, like the younger generation is already started to play esports gaming. So as a tech expert or as a company, they always started learning to grown up with the technologies, and then obviously they'll go to the player through the digital marketing as well. And then after they'll adopt the new technology by guiding them. So obviously as a company, we need support of players in the market as well. So through the guiding them with the concepts and the technologies, we can come up with the better solutions.
Udita, very good question. I think given the current circumstances where India is, so we are obviously digital first organization. Digital first nation. So here is where a massive opportunity exists for all our Indian video game developing organizations to build these games which are esports centric. Now today when we talk about FIFA, or we talk about let's say PUBG or BGMI or Free Fire, these are all the games which are obviously not built in India and not by the Indian companies. So this, if our Indian video game developing companies, start building India-centric games, I think that's also will help us in kind of, catapulting ourselves to, establish India as a powerhouse. Because till the time we have an Indian-built game which is played across the countries, that is when we'll be able to kind of, very confidently with a lot of proud, we can go out and say, yes, India has become a esports powerhouse also.
But Lokesh, one of the things that our previous panelists, when we were talking to them as well, is how do you make this big? It's still a very small sector when it comes to any brand, FMCG, or when they compare to other sports. Why will they come to esports? How do you bridge this? What do you really think? Because you remember we were in a seminar where the Australian Federation said how they invested in grassroots, how they invested in schools and colleges, they made clubs for esports, and that's how the entire Australia now is the biggest esports commercially, as a brand. People are investing there. Do you think India can even reach there? Is there a possibility, and what do we need to do?
Absolutely, yes. So just to give you a reference, it is just that, what Australia did was comparatively more structured in the, let's say, a grassroots program taking out to, let's say, university level. So in India also, I'm sure that, whatever, let's say, the college fest we are having in whatever college, irrespective of being engineering or arts or a university, they say, we typically, all these college fests already have a video game championship. Now they call it, maybe they call it as an e-sport championship or just a gaming championship. All those things are already happening. So the only thing which we need here is, again, going back to my two initial points, is that we need to kind of, structure it in a better way, right? That is where typically, India is a massive country. Australia comparatively even from a population perspective is maybe much less than, what a Haryana population would be. So it becomes easy to kind of roll those things out in those things. India, when we look at it, it's a massive thing. So for us to move at an all India level, the government recognition recognition is the first foremost thing, because today when we go to let's say a school or a college, the first thing would be, okay, fair enough, we know kids are doing it, even in like let's say DPS and all those things, FIFA championships and Call of Duty mobile championships, all these esports championships are already happening. But as a structure, if so, for this we need to go and talk to the principal. Now principal, all these schools and colleges are more running like a commercial entities rather than educational entities. So for them the biggest fear is that, okay, so tomorrow let's say we kind of give a structure to it, or we agree to start doing these things officially, then obviously we'll have a lot of parents coming back to us that हम तो बच्चों को पढ़ने के लिए भेजे थे, आप यहाँ पे इनको गेम खिलवा रहे हो. So that is where, so to address that particular thing, the government recognition is the key here. Because then the principal is, or the management of the particular school is also confident. Why not? When we can do a cricket club in our, is this a timer for us or is it generic? So for us to, so the principal needs to be very confident. Okay, so while we are doing cricket, so of course, why not, let's say, do a FIFA championship, or let's say a Rocket League, or for that matter, why not even a BGMI or a PUBG, depending upon the age group. So if that thing is done, everything is, we are just ready with all those things. A couple of things done and we are good to go.
Lokmanyu, can you give us a real life, we keep hearing this that parents mana karte hain. Have you gone through this kind of incidents? Can you share it with us?
Yeah, so I was about to get to that. So there's a famous saying, I don't know how many of you all heard it, Germans used to say it, catch them young. So that's a famous saying because that only happens, so to answer your question particularly about brands not being involved, why I feel is that I could be wrong about some facts, but I've definitely seen until someone reaches a particular platform, they don't get that much of exposure. Like I can say from the professional FIFA esports scene, Germany is at the top nation right now and they have consecutive World Cup winners. Why is that? Because at the age of 15, 16, they're getting brands to get involved with them. People are coming to support them. It's not even a question about parents because people in Europe and probably America, they do support their children a lot right from the start. I think that's a problem with India that needs to change. I personally did not face that. I was lucky enough to have parents who constantly supported me. Yes, like I said, I'm a little older compared to the young guys, so they had their doubts ki kya karega life mein, what are you going to do by playing video games, kab tak games khelta rahega. So I was like, just hold on, things are coming. And once they saw that, that probably inspired a lot of people to start playing games, making content like Ketan, and all these things started coming into play. So I think grassroots level, and in that brands have to come in to bridge that gap in my opinion, because the more exposure kids are going to get, and when I say kids, I say 16-year-old talented players, when they start getting that exposure, only then they will become world-class athletes or celebrities by the time they're at 25, 26 or even 30 for that matter.
Ketan, what about you?
I think सबसे पहले basic हम लोगों को educate करना पड़ेगा जो what is gaming. एंड अगर वो चीज़ क्लियर होगी तो आई थिंक एंड बेसिकली उस चीज़ को टाइम लगेगा इवेंचुअली. जैसे मैंने बोला कि ईच एंड एवरी जेनजी नोज अबाउट एवरीथिंग, लाइक जो भी स्पोर्ट्स में चल रहा है एंड हाउ थिंग्स वर्क, बट हमारे पेरेंट्स उस चीज़ से नहीं गुजरे हैं. सो वो थोड़ा टाइम देना पड़ेगा हमें. इट विल स्टिल टेक अ डिकेड. जब ये बात नहीं हो रही होगी घर पे कि अच्छा तुझे ई स्पोर्ट्स प्लेयर बनना है या तो तुझे ई स्पोर्ट्स एथलीट बनना है, तो ये क्या है, तो उस टाइम तक आई थिंक थोड़ा सा चीज़ें बहुत सेटल डाउन हो जाएंगी. एंड उस चीज़ के लिए हमारी गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज़ या मिनिस्ट्रीज़ को थोड़ा बहुत सोचना पड़ेगा. दे हैव टू गिव अ सर्टेन लाइट टू इट, ताकि हमारे से ऊपर की जो जनरेशन है दे आर नॉट वेल नोन अबाउट टेक्नोलॉजीज. हम लोगों के बड़े होते टाइम, हम लोगों के बड़े होने के बीच में ये सब चीज़ें हुई हैं, सो दैट हमारी लाइफ में एक पार्ट था. बट अभी जेनजी में सब चीज़ें उनकी लाइफ ही अब ई स्पोर्ट्स, या तो सुबह उठने से लेकर रात तक के सपने उनके ई स्पोर्ट्स वाले होते हैं. हम लोग सपने थे कि यार हम क्रिकेटर बनेंगे, क्योंकि उस टाइम हम लोग देखते हैं अच्छा ये चीज़ ऐसे भी हम लोग हो सकते, वी कैन बी ऑल्सो ऑन टीवी वाइल प्लेइंग क्रिकेट. बट अब इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं, येट वी स्टिल नीड टू लर्न मोर अबाउट गेमिंग इन आवर कंट्री, एंड इट विल टेक टाइम आई वुड से, एंड वी आर गोइंग इन अ वेरी गुड डायरेक्शन. I want to add with that also.
इतनी फैन फॉलोइंग है तुम्हारी घर पे, पता है लोगों को? पता
है. अब अभी रिलेटिव्स वगैरह भी जब आते थे वो फोटो क्लिक करा, ऐसा अजीब लगता है कि यार क्या कर रहे हो क्यों कर रहे हो ये चीज़. बट अच्छी चीज़ है, ये चीज़ साथ में ही आएगी एंड ये ज़रूरी भी है, क्योंकि फैंस और कम्युनिटी है जो एक गेम को या किसी एक चीज़ को बनाए रखती है. आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि क्रिकेट बड़ा है, ई स्पोर्ट्स बड़ा है. मैं बोलूँगा फैंस बड़े हैं जो इस चीज़ के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, हम लोगों को चीज़ें अलाउ करते हैं करने के लिए. बिकॉज आई स्टार्टेड एज अ athlete, then I started my career as a creator, caster. I was also caster for BGMI tournaments, like initially जितने भी हुए थे, but now I'm a vlogger. So इतना diversify मैं अपने career में तभी कर पाऊँ जब audience ने मेरे को accept करा है. And through time you learn a lot as a gamer. मैंने तो 2070s में बहुत सारे changes देखे हैं जहाँ पे बड़ी बड़ी कंपनी जैसे Supercell, I would like to add, Clash of Clans हम सब लोगों ने खेला होगा. So they are not at all interested in Indian country में, मतलब इतना तो involved नहीं है, because certainly how a gaming company works कि उनको in-app purchases चाहिए होते हैं. Like अगर हम बात करें FIFA की भी तो EA Sports doesn't get that much of credits out of India region. So वो लोग क्यों invest करेंगे? एंड अगर वो इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे तो कम्युनिटी बिल्ड नहीं होगी. हेंस जो राइवलरीज होती हैं, जो हम स्टोरी टेलिंग की बात करते हैं, वो आज की डेट में क्रिकेट में बट ई स्पोर्ट्स में नहीं है, जस्ट बिकॉज कि वो एक लॉन्गेटिविटी नहीं है किसी चीज़ में. एंड BGMI में वो अगर सक्सेसफुली है तो वो इसलिए क्योंकि उसमें कम्युनिटी है, फैंस आर इन्वॉल्व. हम लोग क्रिएटर्स इकट्ठे होते हैं फॉर गेट टुगेदर्स, फॉर पार्टीज, फॉर लॉन्च इवेंट्स, फॉर एग्जीबिशन मैचेस, ऑनलाइन स्ट्रीम्स होती हैं. थ्रू आउट पेंडेमिक हुआ. एंड आई थिंक BGMI की जो कम्युनिटी है वो इंडिया में एज कम्पेयर टू लाइक एक ई स्पोर्ट्स टॉपिक की बात करें कोई नहीं है उसके आसपास. दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक दे आर ऑन द लीडिंग स्टेज इन आवर कंट्री. दैट ऑल्सो हैज़ अ रीज़न. अगर लोग बोलते हैं BGMI में अगर नंबर्स हैं देन इट हैज़ अ रीज़न. दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक इंडियन क्रिकेटर्स भी बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं जो सर्टेनली इतने ज़्यादा एक्टिवली इन्वॉल्व हैं. आई थिंक यूजी चहल, ही ऑलवेज comes out on Mortal stream, Mavi stream, Scout stream, Jonathan stream, and he play along with them on stream. And Yuzi Chahal is also a streamer. If like few of you don't know, he streams on Router application. So eventually everyone has an eye on this esports thing. But if government doesn't do anything, then I don't think so it is going towards anything. अगर हम लोग जितना भी हाथ पाँव मार ले, but it has to स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द ग्रास रूट. वहाँ से हमें एक वापस से एक बढ़िया सपोर्ट के साथ टावर खड़ा करना पड़ेगा. एंड आई थिंक उसके लिए टाइम लगेगा एंड वी आर रेडी फॉर इट ओनली.
Just to add something, one small thing, like how Ketan was talking about educating people, like educating children in schools and colleges is so important. Like education for sports came in. Nobody cared about outdoor sports is important for their children. Everybody was like, padho, padho, padho. But everybody wants to get into esports, but they don't want to know that where it all starts. And if you don't get to know that, then that is a huge problem. Like you tell them, oh, it's growing, just get into it. कि मतलब चल रहा है तो उसमें घुस जाओ. It doesn't work like that. You have to stand. Ketan and I was discussing this in the hall that you have to stand apart if you want to build your own community. So if brands don't do that, if the government doesn't do that, their players will not stand out. You have to start educating them from a very young age.
And I want to add last
We're
thing.
running short of time.
एक लास्ट चीज़, जैसे ई स्पोर्ट्स में हम लोग बहुत चीज़ें बोलते हैं. अब स्पोर्ट्स में भी प्रोफेशनलिज्म है. सबको लगता होगा कि ई स्पोर्ट्स इज़ अ ईजी वे टू गो. ऐसा नहीं होता है. सर्टेनली बहुत एट्रीब्यूट जुड़ते हैं इसके साथ. मैं देख रहा था कि मलेशिया गए थे हम लोग एक ग्लोबल टूर्नामेंट के लिए. सो वहाँ पे D2E एक RRQ का प्लेयर था. ही वॉज डूइंग एक्सरसाइज बिफोर द मैचेस. एंड हमारे इंडियन प्लेयर्स भी थे वहाँ पे, बट दे वर नॉट डूइंग जिम, दे वर जस्ट चिलिंग लाइक देयर इन देयर ऑफ टाइम. बट उनका एक रूटीन होता है कि आपको अपनी मसल मेमोरी लाइक कितनी ऑन टू इट रखनी पड़ती है. लाइक बिफोर द मैच आपको फोकस रखना पड़ता है. सो ईच एंड एवरीथिंग is actually attached. So वो basic education, like this was just one of the example that कि it is not that easy also to crack. So yes, I hope we are good on time.
No, we are running ahead of time, like we are running short of time.
It's fine, we should close it then.
Thank you so much for sharing your bit with all of us, and it was really interesting discussion, I must say. So can we have a huge round of applause for all our esteemed panelists and Miss Udita as well, who took it so wonderfully and with such a poise, you took it forward all the session. Thank you so much.